Come talk to me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to something I have not done in a while. I'm kind of restarting this new series here on the YouTube channel. I did used to do it in audio form, but now we are video and we are audio video. We are doing our thing. You get to see our grills in here, like we're Nelly and Paul Rawl up in this bitch, baby. Nelly Paul, well, hello. Taking it back to the mid 2000s, but I digress, folks. This is Shooting the Breeze. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me is, well, you may have saw on my last edition of On the Mic with Mike, and you get to see her here live and live in color here for Shooting the Breeze. Roxxie Main, it's a pleasure and a privilege. How are you?
I am good. It's a privilege to be here talking to you.
Of course. Now, folks, if you want to go back and check out On the Mic with Mike, you should, because Roxy and I talked a lot about professional wrestling, as well as what she's got going on now with her adult content, which, first and foremost, folks, if you've not checked her out on Twitter, you should, doggone it. You also had put out some great cheerleading photos there, man. It gives a new name to school spirit, teen spirit. You know what I'm saying? You're showing that cheer, you know?
Yeah, they're definitely spicy, so check them out.
Absolutely. But no, and here's what I love about it too as well. We were talking about it. First of all, you look good. And also I gotta say, if anybody loves just beautiful imagery and just something that brings a lot of sex appeal and overall fantasy, you can't go wrong with a cheerleading outfit, right?
Right. Who doesn't love cheerleaders, right?
Absolutely. Well, I think you fit the mold and you hit the role very well on that. Go check out those photos because they are a good time. Oh my goodness. Miss Roxy Main, we are here to talk about professional wrestling, and we are here to talk about a lot of stuff going on here today on Shooting the Breeze. First and foremost, we'll go hot out the gate here because Roxy was looking forward to talking about this before we got on air.
Right, yes.
CM Punk, Jungle Boy Jack Perry got into a fizzite at All In. Right before the main show, not even just the pre-show, the 0 hour, if you will. Jungle Boy Jack Perry had his match with Hook for the FTW title. He said, "Hey, real glass, cry me a river," gets suplexed on it, all cut up. Now, this was based off an incident where CM Punk, people suggested to him, "Hey, we're not going to do an angle where you use real glass." Okay, not happening. Safety, I totally understand. CM Punk was the one they said, "Hey, why don't you go tell him don't do that?" So he had the talk, and well, CM Punk was not happy at him pretty much putting him on blast right before his first match on the opener of the main show of All In against Samoa Joe. Shit got crazy. CM Punk said, "Hey, you know I could kick your ass, right?" And he goes, it pretty much he said, "Yo, you got something to say to me?" And Jack Perry goes, "You heard what I just said." And well, shit hit the fan. CM Punk puts him in a choke. Everybody is around there. They said Tony Khan had monitors on him because it was so close to where Tony Khan was sitting in Gorilla. Samoa Joe had to break it up. And yeah, now it looks like they're both suspended. And CM Punk, who's from Chicago, we got All Out this Sunday as we're recording this, Roxy. Not even on the card. Not even on the card.
Not even on the card. And he is Chicago's own. So what the hell? It's strange because, it's strange because I always loved CM Punk as I saw him, you know what I mean? Which I first saw him, sadly, not until he was in ECW with WE, you know what I mean? But I was young, like 2006 when I first saw him. So, like, I've loved him for a long time. So I hate hearing him, like, I don't know what the hell's going on with him, like, and the whole Jack Perry shit. I mean, it sounds like always the same thing. Like, people just don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, words are being said and he doesn't like it, and then some type of physical altercation breaks out. I don't know. It's what it seems like. That just happened, like with the whole thing with the Young Bucks and shit.
Yeah,
how long did that take to resolve?
That was like, and what I love about it here, you bring up a great point. Like that was a year ago already. Like that was a year after when another fight.
I literally saw a Twitter post. You know how people make posts and predictions and all that, you know what I mean? But someone was like, this is a work that Punk's doing it to keep himself relevant but not having to wrestle. I was like, listen, I don't think he has to do that much. Well, you know what I mean? But this is what I think, though. Him acting like this, I don't know. It sucks because it makes him look like everything people said about him is true. You know, all that back, like bullshit. You know what I mean? That back locker room bullshit. But at the same time, it sucks because it makes him like unappealing to watch. I'll be real with you. Like, for example, like him bringing back that champion and putting an X on it, like It should have been like a really cool moment. It should have been something that could be like recognized, but I'll be real with you, like that was like nothing. Like, you know what I mean? There's nothing special to it. It's just like, why is he holding it and it has an X on it? And now he can't even like finish why, you know what I'm saying? Like he can't even finish by facing Max. You know what I mean? That can't even happen now. So what's the point? It sucks that he's doing this, you
So
know?
I love where you're going with this because for me, the real world championship. Now this dates back to when Ric Flair went from WCW. He even took the belt with him in the early '90s. He was their first ever real world's champion. But here's the thing. He never defended the title, folks. It was just like he was making a point like, I hate working in WCW, NWA at the time. I'm sick of this place. I'm taking my belt with me. I'm not giving you back your belt, sir. I'm going to take this because I'm the real world's champion, and I'm going to take it and bring it on to WWF television at the time.
Yeah.
CM Punk put the X for the straight edge, like his normal thing that he would always do.
Yeah.
But a lot of people joke that by putting the X on it, it looks like the old TNA X Division title from back in the day when TNA had the original X Division
I
title.
didn't even think about that X. I was thinking he was trying to be like trying to make it cool like Hogan did, you know what I mean, with you know,
Yeah,
whatever
NWO,
NWO
yeah, the
did it.
spray paint, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought like it should have been, you look at NWO and that like time thing, whatever, like they made that seem like a big, you know, thing, and that, but Punk, like I'll be real with you, he's like very like not very important right now. And I think it's because of him not being around. And he's doing that to himself, sadly, because he could be around and he should be,
And it's
you know.
funny. Well, I love the story that you brought up. You first saw him in 2006 because that was when I first saw him when he was on ECW.
Really? That's
Yes.
so funny. I feel like a little baby because I'm like, oh, it's my first saw him and he was in Ring of Honor, you know what I mean, all that stuff. But that's when I first seen him. I like liked him like off the bat. There's only a few wrestlers I've seen the first time I looked at him. I liked him, and he's one of them.
So I was there at the Hammerstein Ballroom when he wrestled Just Incredible in his debut on
Really?
ECW. Yes.
That's a cool ass place. I love that. That you said the Hammerstein, right? The
Yep.
Hammerstein?
Hammerstein Ballroom. Yep.
Hammerstein. Yeah, I love that ballroom. I always go to the Philly place. I used to get those two mixed up. The Philly 2300 arena
500 Arena,
isn't
the
that.
former ECW arena. Yes.
Yeah, it's not that fancy, but I like going there because you have this ECW thing. And but I used to get the two mixed up because they ECW had them both a lot in both places. You know what I mean? So,
No, you're
but
absolutely right.
plus you don't know where anything is whenever you're a kid watching wrestling. So
Yes. No, I agree. I was probably around that time. I was like 14. I was still in middle school. But
okay,
for me, like I was right with you. Like I found out about the Ring of Honor, the early stuff with him and Cabana and him in those matches like later on. And I mean, you have to also admit here, folks, like when you saw CM Punk, like it was nothing you ever seen before. Don't let these tattoos fool you. I'm straight edge. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Boom. I'm CM Punk. It was unique.
yeah,
It was something that was different from what they did at the time. And like you mentioned, with what he's doing now, and I've got to say, there's a lot of contributing factors here. Young Bucks and Jungle Boy are all pals, and I think everybody was immature in the whole thing. I think with CM Punk, as he's gotten older and the respect that he has to the veteran, he's more set in his ways, and I'm going to do this. When the Young Bucks are like, I want to do this. So there's conflicting issues here, but also at the same time with how he's handling. You never put your hands on a talent. You never put your hands on anyone. That's not the way to do it from a decorum standpoint. And if you're leading this locker room, Collision is his show, and AEW, he's one of the locker room leaders. You don't behave in such a manner. And I think what it does is it deters people away from the AEW product because it's like, y'all are doing 81,000 seats in Wembley Stadium, a big venue, not since 1992 with WWE with SummerSlam, right? You're bringing people to drive yourself away from AEW, this behavior, because it's like, God damn it, they have a great moment, and then there's some fucking drama that goes into it. So there's a lot of deterrence right now with CM Punk that people are like, you know what, I'm sick of this dude. If he wants to quit so bad, which there was rumor into that fight that he went to Tony Khan's office, he chewed out Tony Khan, and he said, look, I quit. So if
yeah.
you quit,
I seen that. I seen that. Which honestly, I don't. If he makes, I don't know what he's doing. He makes no sense because he's waited so long to come back, and this like sparked. It makes you think like, will he ever be happy in wrestling? Like, period. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be, but like, he wasn't happy in WWE. And we all were like, oh, Punk's not the bad guy. They were. Because, you know what I'm saying? You look back at them releasing him on his wedding day and what was said here and there and all that, all that stuff. I'm not going into all that. So you think he's, but then you see all this AEW shit and you're just like, what was he always like this? Like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? It makes it unappealing, you know, like we've been saying, unappealing to see him, like, because he's just messing up some cool things that he could be doing and should be doing. Like, he should be, you know, coming back in, having a few matches, little feuds, and this should be going back into him and Max, period. And we'll probably never see that. And I'll be real with you, I don't think anyone even remembered that Punk was the original champ. I don't think people even remember that.
It's so funny because he gets injured, and like you mentioned, I would have loved to seen a unification match. Who's the real world champion?
Yes, who's the real champion? And they could do an awesome feud. They
Yes.
already did an amazing feud. I watched what are they? Those videos, they put them all together.
Oh, the vignettes, the promo compilation. Yeah.
All of them together, all of everything, and little piece of the match. I watch this 40-some-minute thing on YouTube someone made. I watch it all the time. It's great, top to bottom feud, and they could do it again. But
My issue too is as well, and it's not even just with them. Tony Khan, and look, he's in the mode, and I'm gonna put this visual since we are doing this video now, Miss Roxxie, man. Let me get the visual to the people here. This is Tony Khan. He's like Richard Pryor and Brewster's Millions, spending all the money, or he's just like, I can't believe I'm owning a wrestling promotion. This is so cool. But it's like you're 4 years into the damn promotion.
I know people would think, you know, weird of him because of that, but like, I think that maybe I don't know, like, for example, like, that's always contradicting. Like, for example, like, in the locker room, they tell guys who are like coming up, don't be a mark. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, guys in the indies, like, if you see a legend, you know, don't ask them for a picture, don't. But like, then they're, you know what I'm saying, like, don't be a mark. But at the same time, though, it's like, should we all be marks so that we actually care and love the product? You know what I mean? Because like, whenever you start being like, oh, this is like, you know what I mean? I love Tony Khan for the way he
Marco.
is. I think he's cute, and I think he's everyone thinks he's on coke, but I think he's wonderful. But like, I get it though. It's hard because you can't take him serious, and that's the slight. For example, McMahon, right? People are scared to breathe at him the wrong way. People, you know what I'm saying? People's been suspended or something from just hugging him unexpectedly. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are horrified of that man. You know what I mean? But you have Tony Khan. That's what it is though. Like, it's that, but that's his own like thing. Because I have the same problem. Like, if you're too down to earth and you're too humble and you're too nice, people don't respect you. And sadly, that's where he's at. Like, people are like running around doing whatever the fuck they want. I don't know if it's the same thing as like WCW running around and doing what you want. You know what I mean? The end of that. But hopefully it's not like that, because that was obviously a train wreck at the end. You know, that's why what happened to it. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's not what's going on. But you know, I hate to see it because Tony's put so much into Punk, but maybe Tony needs to be like, you know what, Punk, maybe you don't need to be here. Maybe you don't. But it sucks because he put so much into him. But sometimes you gotta cut your like losses. You know what I mean? Because you can't get your money out of him. Period. You can't. He's not around long enough.
I like your analysis, but no, that's the thing too. Like the Time Warner merger with the end of WCW, Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo and all the combustible elements there.
Mm.
For you with Tony Khan here, look, I like him too, and I could say this as someone like we talked about in our last show. We're both nice people. When you're down to earth, you care. People look at you like, oh, we can take advantage of that person. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're not going to get mad. They're not going to scream. They're not going to yell. They're not going to be blunt or brazen. But
Yeah.
the other side of the coin, there was Vince McMahon, who's just like, yeah, I'm going to instill the fear of God into everybody, have you walk on eggshells, and if you don't like what I do, then there's the door. So there's a different ideology of what he's done. And of course, he was also the son of a promoter, being Vince McMahon Sr. But the thing is here, Tony Khan represents the spoiled rich kids of the world of just, hey, my daddy got me a wrestling company, and now here
I wish.
I wish too, but that's the thing too. I get it.
I wish. Oh my god. You know what I mean? And like, and to be honest with you, like, the reason why AEW is so successful is because of him putting together, like, you know what I mean, him like listening to people, and him like really like caring about the product, and him really, which is beautiful and wonderful. But it's like, everything you've done is gonna get so I don't think Punk is gonna destroy it. It's not. It just looks bad. You know what I mean? I don't think it's gonna destroy anything. It just looks bad, and it just keeps happening over and over. Like last time with the whole Young Bucks thing, that outshined like everything. And MJF mentioned that in the scum. He's like, you guys are all worried about that when this all just happened. You know what I mean? And that gets old because you're supposed to be like giving. Okay, so he's a locker room leader and all that. They're supposed to be giving at that age and that like status. Like they're supposed to be giving away to the next generation. How are you giving it away to the next generation whenever you're being talked about over them and they got 20 years more to go than you? Like MJF. You know what I'm saying? He's got at least 20 more years in the business, at least. If I mean, he's only 25, 26 years old. So if he's wrestled till he's like 40 something, you know what I mean? Which is possible now in these days. So like he's taken away from his spotlight though, a huge, championship title thing. I forget exactly what it was. It was so long ago. But I remember how huge it was and he was pissed about it and it's just happening over and over again. Like this pay-per-view was awesome and I couldn't see it though. Too poor to pay for it. But I watched highlights and watched the 0 hour. But like he's just taking it away from the new talent and what's going on. And honestly, he's looking like a dick bag, sadly. And I hate that for him because I think he's a decent dude. I just don't know what's up his butt.
So the original plan for All Out, which is this Sunday, was the main event was supposed to be, of course, since we're in Chicago, CM Punk. The original main event was supposed to be CM Punk and Ricky Starks. And well,
That would have been great.
yes, but now as we saw the announcement on Twitter by Tony Khan on Collision, Ricky Starks is challenging Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to a strap match for All Out because he whooped on 70-year-old Ricky Steamboat. So we may be seeing Ricky Starks and Ricky Steamboat as the new main event for All Out. What are your thoughts on that?
Poor Ricky Steamboat.
Yep.
I'll be real with you. Like Ricky Steamboat, I love him, but like he's not Sting.
No, he's not. And I mean,
He's not Sting. So like I don't see Ricky doing a strap. Why is Ricky Steamboat doing a strap match? That's like putting my grandpa out there and doing a strap match. Same thing, literally. You know what I mean? Like hasn't been in the ring. Like he was a ref, cool, but a ref does what a ref does. They don't get hit with straps and they only take a few bumps. They're not taking I don't know how many bumps in a match. You know what I mean? So I don't know that I think it's kind of cringe. And I think that also falls into that whole I mean, it's on it makes sense, but it's on the fly, obviously. And I wish that Ricky the Dragon would have like picked someone else to fight his battle for him and then go from there or something. But because there's no Punk, it really doesn't make any sense if you find somebody else because it's beef between those three. So
the way I would do it, possibly, like if we could do like just okay, we'll just have Punk do the All Out match, and then you can just be suspended and go.
then cut him or something.
Yeah.
Then like put him on suspension.
Right. But it's going to be interesting because they've said as of now, like as we know, reports come out on social media and many different various websites that Tim and Tony Khan have not had any contact ever since what happened on Sunday. So I don't know, but we shall see. But like you mentioned, All In was a very good show, folks. I mean, if you've not checked it out, you should. MJF and Adam Cole, very much a highlighted main event, a great main event.
I've heard, and I wish I can watch it.
All right.
I love them.
All right, highlights, folks. Check it out. And if I can find something for you, I'll definitely send the link so you can check it out. I got your back. But yes, definitely check out the highlights, like Miss Roxxie Main here said. And if you really have not seen the tributes, because this ties into something else that we are going to talk about here, House of Black, that nice tribute to Bray Wyatt, the Lantern and the Fireflies. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Rest in peace, Terry Funk. The world lost two great legends. I mean, Terry Funk from his roles in Roadhouse, and we look at like his matches with Mick Foley, his team with Mick Foley, with Chainsaw Charlie, ECW, WCW, NWA. The man lived a great life, 79 years of age. And it's interesting because Bob Barker also passed at 99. The Price is Right. The Price is Wrong, bitch, like Happy Gilmore with Adam Sandler.
Yes.
But the big one that really hurt us all because he's an active roster member. He was so young. Bray Wyatt at the age of 36. Like I saw it on Twitter. Triple H put out the tweet, and I thought to myself, no, no, like what do you mean? Like he's gone? You know,
it didn't seem real. It really didn't seem real. But that's why it doesn't seem real because everyone was waiting for him. That's what it was. That's, you know what I mean? That's what happens when you're waiting on someone. You're waiting on them to return and then they never do. And then basically what they become is like another what if in wrestling, which I hate those. I hate always like, what if he came back and if he actually could do the, you know what I'm saying, like finish off the what he was trying to start. Because like people were like mediocre about that whole Uncle Howdy thing. People weren't getting it, or you know what I'm saying. You probably saw the
Mhm.
talk about it and stuff, but it's because there wasn't enough behind it, and then now now there isn't. You know what I'm saying? Unless you know what I'm saying, which I personally wouldn't want nothing from it. Like I don't want nothing to add on to it, because why would you do that whenever it was all his mind? And if his mind's not around, then why do it? Period. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really see no reason. You know what I mean?
And there's that part of my head where I'm like, okay, if Braun Strowman comes back from injury and you do, and if Eric Rowan comes back, because Eric Rowan was on SmackDown at the tribute, and you live on the lineage with the Wyatt family, and as we know, Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas, and then you do that. I mean, I don't know. It would feel weird just because on that standpoint, but also at the same time, it's a nice way to pay tribute to Bray Wyatt. But I
It's
don't.
nice.
It is, but still, it's he's not here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I'm not this sounds bad, but I'm not a big fan of people just getting pops after someone passes, like the group. For example, I felt like it was nice, like for example, whenever Luke Harper passed, like you know what I mean, which is Brody Lee. You know what I'm saying? When he passed in the Dark Order, we're like automatically good guys and people were cheering for like, and I hate that. The reason why I hate it is because once you put that on them, like, oh, let's all feel bad for them and cheer for them because someone passed in their group. What's after that? I'm not trying to be mean, but what's after that? Nothing, because now you see the Dark Order. Never. Not trying to be mean, but like that's I'm sadly like, which don't get me wrong, like at the time when they did the tribute show, that was beautiful. You know what I mean? That was wonderful. But like after that, they should have like did something else for them, because basically all they were in the shadow of was Brody Lee's death, which is sad. But like that's what they'd be doing with if they did that whole Wyatt family thing. They'd be just in the shadow of Bray's death, unless they would do something differently, which you know what I mean. But I just don't like being in the shadow of someone dying. That sounds bad, but you know
No,
what I'm saying though.
I know what you're saying. First of all,
Okay.
don't even say it doesn't sound bad. I understand where you're coming from.
Okay. I'm like, sounds like a bitch thing to say.
No,
But
first
you
of
know
all,
what I mean though? It's like what's after that? You know what I mean? Because sadly, like things happen, but the world keeps moving, and what's after that?
not a bitch thing to say. We all have our opinions, so that's absolutely cool. I respect it. But no, that's the thing too. I mean, for me, the Dark Order after Brody Lee's passing in late 2020, I mean, they were all a heel group, and then all of a sudden they're baby faces, and the Dark Order
Boom, baby face.
yes,
Yeah.
and the Dark Order became all comical, and I'm like, this group was not a comedy act. This was supposed to be like the Exalted One and the Darkness and Join the Dark Order. We're taking off like a cult, much like the
Yep.
Wyatt family was.
That's
I'm
what they
like,
were supposed to be. Like that's how they started out. Like I remember I first saw them in 2019 October. Like literally when they first started, like you know what I mean? Not 2019, 2020. I
yeah,
don't know.
2020, when the Exalted One came in, yep, during COVID.
Yeah, like literally like when I mean when they first came to they first came to Pittsburgh, and Evil Uno came out, and it was before it was a whole ass group. It was like only like two people at the time,
Him and Stu
and they
Grayson.
had like these dark people, and they were walking in, and they were sitting on them, and it was creepy and weird. And that's what. But then, like you said, they turned it comical. Which, to be honest with you, like the reason why I think they turned that is because of BTE, which they were, you know, what I'm saying, seeing that they were getting. The only sad thing about stuff that works on YouTube doesn't work in real life. Not real life, but on TV. That's the only sad thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're funny on BTE, but like on TV, do you really have anywhere to put like AEW doesn't have that much funny stuff, to be honest. That's not their thing.
Well, when you translate it, it's like, all right, here's the stuff. It's like knowing the room and knowing the crowd. Like I always say this, like NXT, like I enjoy NXT every week. I enjoy the main rosters. I enjoy professional wrestling, like much like we all do. But here's the thing. the NXT audience and the main roster audience is very different because the main roster audience only watches Raw and SmackDown. They don't watch NXT. I mean, they're intertwining everything now, which makes sense, and you're getting everybody involved, and I love that. But at the time, nobody watched NXT. I'll give you a perfect example. Adam Rose. It's party time all the time. When he had the Bunny and he had the Exotic Express, when he was in NXT in front of the Full Sail crowd, everybody was party, everybody was jumping, it was live, it was fun. But then when he got to the main roster, it's like, okay, who's this Russell?
No one got it.
Yeah, who's this Russell Brand looking guy just coming out there with a lollipop and a bunny and like what? Like what
walking around.
Yes.
Same thing as No Way Jose. He was like off the chart for a little while, and
yeah. And then he's on NXT, and then they bring him to the main roster, and it gets over like a fart in church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I don't understand exactly why it's so difficult or so because like you watch them in NXT, then they come to the main roster, and then you just like it breaks your heart to see him even on the main roster. Like for example, Matt Riddle, right? Like he was the second. So 3 guys ever in my life I first glanced and liked them was Punk, Riddle, and Sammy Guevara. Like first time I seen him, I was like, like Riddle. When I first saw him, I was like, who the hell is this guy? Because he was like so chill. And then he went in there and he like oh my goodness, what's his name?
One.
Oh my goodness. He had long hair. I can't remember him. He was in the Indies too, but I forget his name. But he basically like, you know what I'm saying, had him out in a second. You know what I'm saying? This is NXT. And so he was like fun, but like he was dangerous. There was like this dangerous to him. Now he's just fun. Like he's all like he reminds me of that annoying kid who tries to be friends with everybody. And it's like, why? Whenever Matt Riddle's so fucking cool, everyone should be friends with him. Like, don't, you know what I'm saying? He shouldn't be trying to ask for people to be his tag team partner. He should have someone cool as him, like someone as cool as him and do something. Or I don't know, you know what I mean? Like him and Pete Dunne in NXT. That was a funny combination. It was great. Pete Dunne was so fucking, yeah, it was great. And then they carried around their big trophy. I don't know. And it's sad because nothing is good like that. Like even like RK Bro was fun, but this whole McIntyre thing, like Drew should be a single star, period. He doesn't belong with people. He just don't.
Like Mick Riddle? You don't like Mick Riddle?
No, I don't. I think it's extreme, like especially because they keep throwing Matt with all these different people. Like he was with Randy, now he's trying to be with this guy. Like I don't know. I'm weird. I'd rather see him funny and dangerous than just like, hey, want to be my tag partner? Like, yeah.
I think there's that element still about him that's funny and dangerous because when he gets in the ring, like look at the matches that he just had with Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. But yeah. It's like I think it's him, but with himself with notches. I mean, it's Riddle being Riddle, but when you were in NXT, like you mentioned, when he need Adam Cole, where he would need everybody, like the feud with Damian Priest, the feud with the Undisputed Era, the feud with everybody, like he was this dangerous son of gun. The Lions Den math with Timothy Thatcher, which was very
yep.
Like that's the thing too, and it's one of those things where a lot of them came up from NXT too soon. Like for instance, when Adrian Neville came up so soon, and then like he just became Neville, and it went like whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he got a resurgence when he was with the Cruiserweight division on 205 Live, but it takes time because you just bring people up out of the wazoo, and it kind of hinders what they were doing. Like they could have had more time in NXT before they got the seasoning to the main roster.
Like Tommaso Ciampa,
yeah,
ran at NXT and I don't know what the hell is going on with him now. I don't know if it's because there ain't a spot or something. You know what I mean? What is exactly missing that makes him not the same on the main roster? But he was like such a badass. And this is like the same time frame too, because Matt Riddle was in January of 2020, I went to see them in Pittsburgh before the pandemic, and Matt Riddle was real big, and him and Matt actually tagged or something together, but they were so huge, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then now they're just like, but that's, I don't know. It just doesn't translate well over. Like Tommaso Ciampa has a really good character himself, I think. Like,
but the psycho killer, man. And I mean, to add on to your point, because you do make a great point. No weirdness, by the way, folks. You know what I'm saying? No weirdness at all. You're cool with what you got to say. I like it. It's a mesh here. But I also like your perspective on how you feel because of these two larger than life characters that they were in NXT. And now Tommaso Ciampa is just facing Bronson Reed, and he's doing promos about how, maybe we're going to see him and Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. I mean, Chad Gable and him have been off the charts with this mini feud that they're having. So, I mean, Gunther and Ciampa would be very interesting to see, but we're kind of, and there's no Johnny Gargano right now. And I mean, I'd love to see a reuniting of DIY go against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the tag titles. That would be sweet, but we're gonna have to see how everything plays out. But I think the hottest act right now, and we saw Miz do an impersonation of him on Raw this week, which was hilarious. LA Knight, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this. If there's any match that I'm looking forward to on Saturday at Payback, because I'm looking forward to the card and all of, but I really can't wait to see LA Knight and Miz.
Yes. I'm happy that them two are doing a feud because he only impersonates the greats, and LA Knight is one of them. So here we are, and I'm so glad that he's finally like. It just blows my mind. I think I said this before. It just blows my mind how good he's been and how he's been saying funny stuff like for years. Like he's been entertaining, but LA Knight's finally getting that like light, and the Miz like just mocking him is just great, and him doing impersonations too of the Miz is just great. So like just him doing the voice like, wait, let me get my voice a little higher. I'm like, that's so funny. He's so funny. I love him.
I mean, when he had the grab, let me talk to you, and he's doing like the whole thing, like it's great. Like,
yeah. I have some bass in my voice, so you know what I'm saying. I'm like, oh my.
Then he's like, what? So I mean, yeah, what? Yeah.
What? Yeah. I'm like, dude, so funny. Cause like, give me a hell yeah. I mean, yeah. I was like, dude, he's just really, and then the fact that he just walks out and just constantly does this the whole time. The whole time. But yeah, it was funny. It was funny. I love impersonations though. So like they're so funny to me. So when people do them and they're actually like good, oh my gosh.
I'm waiting for LA Knight to dress like the Miz tomorrow on SmackDown. That's what I want to see so badly.
I can't see him doing that, but it'd be great. Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see him because like I can't see him doing that, but it'd be so funny if he did though. Oh my goodness. I can never picture him in Miz's gear though. With the little thing on his head, around his head. I'm sorry, this is off the topic a little bit. I'm waiting for Logan Paul to change his damn gear. His gear still looks like the Miz's, and it bugs the hell out of me because he's nothing to do with him. And I love Logan Paul, so he has to find his own shit.
First off, not off topic. I love that, that up because first and foremost, this is Shooting the Breeze. We're talking wrestling, and you bring up a great point about the outerwear of Logan Paul. It's very similar, it's very Hollywood based, like with both the Miz and the Logan Paul. But yeah, no, I mean, for me, I think we still need to have that resolved issue with Logan Paul and Ricochet. We get that back going when that goes into the rematch. But man, for me with this card, I mean, this weekend we have LA Knight and The Miz. We got Becky and Trish in a cage. We got Seth and Nakamura. We got Rey Mysterio and Austin Theory for the U.S. title. There's a lot of good matches going into Saturday's show.
Yes, which is great because hopefully I'll be going.
Yes,
I'm excited.
All right. Well, I hope to see you get there and get to enjoy yourself and see LA Knight in person. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm right there with you because the first time I ever saw him was actually in Impact. When he came in, it was him, Drew McIntyre, and Micah, who were going to be Tonga Loa, the former Camacho, as a part of.
Did you really watch that? Oh my! One of my favorite promos is that one where after he turns on Drew and he's like, "Everyone say stand up, stand up. As far as I'm concerned, you guys can all sit down." He's like holding a crutch.
Yes, where he puts him, "Shut up, dummies, I'm talking," and then he starts coming. Yes.
Yeah. He's so. I watched it. I'm like, damn. I was like, how did I not? But I didn't watch Impact then because I stopped watching like in 2013, 14, basically whenever Aces and Eights had like 1 million members and Dixie Carter and all that bullshit. Like the last person I liked on there was EC3 whenever he looked really good.
Trouble.
Praise God, he's starting to look good again. He just won the championship.
Yeah.
Like he looks good again. Praise God, because I hate when he shaved his head. Like, give me the appeal. I'm sorry, but like, listen, there's a reason why girls like wrestling sometimes. Sometimes they gotta, and then whenever they don't look good, it's like, damn, man, grow out your hair. Fuck.
But, he was too busy controlling this narrative, man. He was too busy controlling that narrative.
Listen, he needs to let me control his narrative. Grow your hair. I'm just look good for the women. Damn it. I'm just but yeah, that was good. That was on NWA, which is cool. But I've seen a lot of people talk some smack on it. But NWA, I think it's still chugging, and I have respect for it. So I don't know why people has to always say something negative. I mean, people's always want to say something negative about wrestling. Like people's like it's I forget on Twitter. You probably seen it. People are like, can't believe you watch All In, right? All In, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you watch that, and then it's completely different, like the wrestling. But that's what pro wrestling is. Because you can line up and go to like 3 shows in one day, and none of them are the same. That's just
Well,
how it is.
it's a variety, and professional wrestling is that variety. I mean, with EC3 beating Tyrus and Tyrus retiring, and I mean that builds the story. And you think of NWA and the lineage; it's very old school. We talk about Eli Drake's promos where he's talking about his shoe, and there's the one where he's drunk. He's had many of great promos there, but that's
I
what
love that.
me too, but it's the spirit of what the NWA was in the 80s, from the set, from everything. It's taken you back to what the golden age of professional wrestling is, with a new mix and a new spin to it. And I think that's what Billy Corgan's vision is when it comes to that product. And I mean, people sleep on it. There's a lot of great talent there that in NWA. I mean, Kerry Morton, who is the son of Ricky Morton, is the junior
Yep.
champ over there. Like, there's a lot of great talents over there. Camille and Kenzie Page and all these women doing their thing, pretty empowered. Oh my God.
Yeah, I first saw Ricky Starks on there actually.
Yes. Stroke
Yeah,
Daddy. Stroke Daddy. All
Stroke
right.
Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I didn't even know he was one of the people that I think he's the only person that I saw like on YouTube wrestling that I like liked, and I went and started seeing his stuff, and I was actually a fan. You know what I mean? But like that was where he was on. He was on Power. So like people come through there, and LA Knight, obviously Eli Drake came through there, and he had great promos. You know what I'm saying? And but people, they sleep on it, and that's why they don't catch them because they're sleeping on the product.
Yeah, and Magnus did his thing. Nick Aldis did his thing as NWA World Champion, and I think he's going to be like a producer now in WWE. I know he's been doing some producing roles over there, which is sweet. I mean, he has a great mind for the business.
Yeah.
And I mean, Mickey James is still doing her thing over there in Impact. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's another one people sleep on because we're so encompassed in the WWE, AEW tribalistic type of war here when it should not be like that, folks. Just enjoy professional wrestling. But Impact has got to be slept on.
You know why Impact is being slept on? This is why, I think. It's not available. Like it's so hard to get tuned into it. Like for example, can you tell me what channel it's on? Can
For
you tell me where to find it?
Okay, so for me, with what I have with my Spectrum, and I'm going to say for those who have Spectrum, it's channel. So you're just going to bring it out there. What channel is it on? Why don't you tell me what channel it's on? I like your style. So if you're on Spectrum, it's on channel 88. It's on Access TV. It's their network, Access TV, owned by Anthem. So it's on Access. People don't get Access TV. I know what you're saying.
Yes, they don't get access. Like for example, I have YouTube TV.
Yeah.
So, and which now in these days, most people don't, you know what I mean? Because why pay out DirecTV whenever you can pay out a fourth or a third, you know what I mean, through someone else, you know what I mean? So, like, if they could have, like, another, like, because, like, TNT, that's a basic channel, USA, basic channel, TBS,
TBS.
a basic channel, all these, basic channels, Fox, basic, as like everyone has a Fox, you know what I mean? These are all like basic channels that you can find wrestling easy. And I think that's why you have problems finding Impact, is because you're not seeing commercials for it. You're not seeing commercials for it, and you're not seeing like the channel. And I hate that. I wish that they were on a channel, like a channel that you can find easier. I think that it would be, because they probably have like the talent now is probably as good as it was when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first started watching, it was like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, uh, LAX, like Hernandez, and Homicide with Conan. Like that was good shit. You know what I'm saying? But like I think their roster is as good now like it was back then. There was a time when the roster wasn't the best, but right now it's great, and they have really good matches, and they have really good people, but I think it's like how to find it. People can't find it, and they forget about it, basically, I think.
I would just like to say, with how you just came very blunt and honest with it before here, Miss Roxy Main, you were like speaking into Ed Nordholm and Scott Demore show. Like, what channel is it on? Like, really, that's the problem with Impact. Ed, Scott,
That's
what channel is it on?
what channel is it on, babies? Like, I'm not trying to be, but like, I mean, put it on something that people can find or be able to, or that like regular streamings like YouTube TV, you know what I'm saying? Whatever channels that they get, or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like a basic channel that everyone can at least, because how long is Impact? Is it an hour? I haven't watched it because I can't access it, but
Can't access it. I see what you did there. Play on
you know
words.
what I'm saying? Yeah, access has no access for me. So, but you know what I mean? There has to be, I know that that takes money and popular. So like, but it'd be nice if they could get a better TV deal, period. Something that is more shown off. You know what I mean? You can actually see it and find it.
First of all, I don't even think you realize this, but again, this is why I'm loving picking your brain, and I'm loving that we're getting to do this, and we're going to do more of these. But you actually make a very valid point here, and here's why. So the genesis of Impact started in 2004 from the show. I remember first watching it in 2004. It used to be on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Fox Sports Net back in the day, folks, and then it moved to 4, and then later on in 2005, it became on Spike TV, which is now Paramount, right? So
Yep.
that was the big one. And then when you start going to like Destination America, Pop TV, the Pursuit channel, which was with their network that a lot of people didn't get, Twitch, and then now you're on Access. A lot of the
Yes.
stuff like Destination America, Pop TV, not a lot of people had Destination America and Pop TV. That was the
No. Yeah, that's the problem. That is the problem. I want to say that MLW was on Pop too, or were they on something else for a
it was
little
on
while?
Vice. It was on Vice for a little bit, Vice TV.
Vice. Yeah, very small time it was on Vice,
Yeah,
sadly. I thought I was really excited about that because
that's
Vice does really cool stuff for wrestling, but
the dark side of the ring, like the dark side
yeah.
of.
They also did a series called The Wrestler. Have you ever watched it? Like, I think it's called The Wrestlers, and it's like takes you like Africa and to Quebec, like far out Canada, like where the reserves are and stuff in Canada.
I'm gonna have to
You ever
take a
see?
look at this. No, it doesn't sound familiar. I have to take a look at it.
Yes, it was literally filmed, I think 2018 or 2017. So it has like Penta, well not Penta, but it has, well yeah, it's Penta and Ray Phoenix talking about the whole what it's like to be a Mexico wrestler trying to get a visa, come over, and what I don't know how to explain it, but it's they like check out different like areas and different countries and wrestling. And like in Africa, this one part, they actually use like witchcraft with wrestling.
Really? Oh,
It's yeah, amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's they actually like use like symbol crazy. Yeah, yeah. It's like crazy like yeah, this woman like it looks like she's like cutting the man's like thing off and stuff. Yeah. It's crazy. Like she's like a witch though. Yeah. That's her. Yeah, you should watch it. It's on Vice, but I've watched all the episodes probably many times. And I actually in one of my Canada classes, I actually used one of those episodes
really?
as a reference for what I was talking about. Yeah, yeah. Because I was talking about it's not in Quebec. It's like far out where like in the reserves where there's like only a population of like a few hundred, not even, and far away from the city, and no one really goes out there. And yeah,
All right, I'm gonna have
so
to check
cool.
this out now. You have put this into existence for me, so now I have to check it out. Thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna look it up for a sec. I'm gonna be like, I want to say it's called The Wrestler. You know what I'm saying? Like or the Wrestlers, because The Wrestlers, that movie with
Mickey Rourke.
make you yep. I'm like that came out so long ago.
That came out in 2008, so yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. I was a kid back then, so but oh my god, so the funniest meme is like, you know that shot of Chris Jericho like punching Mickey Rourke?
Yeah,
And it was like, who would have thought this was like they're like past Chris Jericho facing the current Jericho. Like
and that's funny. I'm not gonna lie. That's great. That
try
makes
and tell me that's not funny because like Jericho has
kind of
definitely
looks
turned
like
into that.
that now. Yeah, he kind of looks like that now.
Yeah, yes. He still looks good, he's been around and he's, obviously hasn't I mean, taking his he's taking care of his body the best he can, you know what I mean? But obviously he's been through some shit. But yeah, it literally looks like him now versus it's like now Jericho versus like old Jericho or something, or like not old Jericho, but you know what I mean? It was a funny meme though, but I was like, that's funny.
Okay.
But
I'm going to say this. You talked about being a kid in 2008. So was I. 15. I was
yes.
15 at the time. Well, so us kids here, us youngins, if you will, we were we were enjoying our pro wrestling. It was a simpler time, folks, before really social media became big and just the websites, if you will. But no, I completely agree with you. And for me, like you talk about like the prime days of TNA, like I remember when TNA and Ring of Honor had their relationship, and we'll speak on this because we're both Northeast, Philadelphia over here in Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, the whole nine here, and me being Long Island, New York. So I used
Hmm.
to go to a lot of the Sports Plus shows at Lake Grove, and there was one show, and the one time he wrestled in Ring of Honor, folks, when he was still the NWA champion, Christian Cage actually wrestled for Ring of Honor. Got to see him once. It was him and Colt Cabana against Brian Danielson and Christopher Daniels. So you want
Wow.
like a rare match? There's one. I think it's on YouTube still. Like I saw. Remember Victor from the Ascension, who was in WWE.
Yes.
So he wrestled as Apocalypse, and he wrestled Samoa Joe on the show in 2008. So there's an early Rick Victor in Ring of Honor wrestling Samoa Joe in 2000.
Wow.
It's stuff that you see, but that's really cool. Like to see a lot of the Ring of Honor stuff. And I'm gonna say this, and people talk about Ring of Honor now being owned by Tony Khan. Like you get to see a lot of stuff on Honor Club and get to see a lot of stuff intertwined with that. So him keeping Ring of Honor alive in the legacy is actually pretty cool in its own right too.
It really is because it has so much of a rich history that it'd be dumb to let it go. You know what I'm saying? Like it'd be dumb to let like it really is dumb to let rich history products like die. Like Ring of Honor, why would we let that die? That'd be so stupid. I'm surprised that I guess that it didn't seem appealing to them, but I'm glad that Tony Khan bought it. You know what I mean? And I feel like if WWE bought it, it would have probably been smashed, and then they would have just taken all the footage and put it on a shitty network like they always do. Um, I'm not trying. Peacock sucks. Bring back the network.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we got to talk about this here. Miss Peacock sucks. Bring back the WWE. I'm going to talk about this. Let me talk to you
Oh,
about this. So, I mean, if WWE bought it, I don't think they would do what Tony's doing with
Khan's doing.
they just wanted the library, and you can
Yeah.
see it on documentaries like you mentioned, and you can include that. I think WWE just wanted it for the library. But I mean, they put ICW on there, which was the show in Scotland, Insane Championship Wrestling, that promotion. They put Evolve on there and many others. But yeah, I mean, with what he's doing with it now, I mean, it's another extension for a lot of the talents to work. Think of like the talents that were on Dark Elevation. You have another spot for them. So I mean, it helps. And Athena, the former Ember Moon, is doing her thing over there now. So that's a plus.
Yes, that is true. I just wish I knew where to watch that.
Honor Club, baby. 10 bucks. Honor Club.
That's my you know what I mean? I guess, yeah. I guess I'll do Honor Club. I guess I'll do that. I guess.
Okay, now we got to talk about this because you're making me laugh over here, and I love the vibrancy, and I love just your facial expression. Talk about Peacock sucks. What is the heat with Peacock as opposed to the WWE Network? Go ahead.
Do you want to hear my heat with Peacock?
I want to hear your heat with Peacock.
Okay, so my one thing with Peacock is like back whenever you used to want to watch things with the network, it was easier to find things. Like if you wanted to watch things. Now the Peacock, like it's harder to find things. And it seems like the library or something has shrunk. Like it seems like things aren't on there either. But then another thing I don't like about Peacock is I have a lot of problems with like let's say it's a live event. Usually I don't know if it's like me or what, but something's off with the audio and the action. It's probably happened like 2 or 3 like not pay-per-views, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like it doesn't
They're
sync together, like the audio and stuff. It doesn't sync very well there.
yeah, like the action will be happening and it'll be like a few more seconds behind or something. Like it's like slow. It's whenever it's live, so it's whenever it's so annoying. Or it'll like shut down completely. You'll be in the middle of watching something and I'll just completely go off your screen. It's happened to me in a few houses because that's all I watch at work. Whenever I'm at work, I put on Peacock a lot or I watch a lot of YouTube, wrestling. But like it's just like I don't like how it's set up. I wish that it was like a little bit easier to use. It doesn't seem like it's that friendly. Like if you want to find like for example, if you go up on the bar and try to type something in, it doesn't come up wrestling shit or like only comes up like 1 or 2 things that are wrestling. I don't like that either.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I can see it from that standpoint. I mean, for me, like, first of all, for those who haven't seen the Cody Rhodes documentary, because that's a big one on there,
That
watch
was
it.
good.
It was really good. Now Kurt Angle has one on there now, which I'm interested to see
I
because
love Kurt.
me too. I mean, when he left in '06, like I was there for one of his last. That's the same show that Punk made his debut. Like the last time we saw Kurt Angle, like he beat the crap out of the Brooklyn Brawler, who at the time was calling himself the Boston Brawler because New York, Boston, hello folks. So that was watching him beat up the Brooklyn Brawler was funny. And then of course the TNA run where he, Samoa Joe will be here all day. Kurt Angle's TNA run was absolutely amazing. So I'm curious to see how that
TNA was amazing in general that time frame.
Yes, like I can't wait to see the documentary. But I remember when Kurt Angle first debuted, that video package, everybody went nuts. The Samoa Joe feud, like Kurt Angle, like he can't do no wrong in my eyes. The man is a cyborg, and the man killed it for so many years.
Yes, and he put his body on the line for so long, and he's just another example of what they go through and what they do to themselves for our entertainment, honestly. You know
Agreed.
what I mean? So like it's people like want to say that, people want to call him Perk Kurt, his TNA run. You ever see
Perk
those?
Angle, yes, Perk Angle, Perk
Perk
Angle.
Angle. But it's like, no offense, but yeah, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, like he was really struggling and he was putting on like it's sad because behind the scenes he was having so many problems, but in front of the camera he was putting on his best stuff, and people thought nothing was wrong with him. He was a beast, but there was so much, you know what I mean? So I
Oh,
think hopefully that shines that on him, if that makes sense, like his struggle, because he was able to get through it. Some of them don't get through that stuff.
well, like you mentioned, Perk Angle. I've seen it. I don't laugh at it because I don't laugh at people who are either struggling or are in
Yeah.
pain. You don't know what that person's going through. And
Yeah.
Perk being short for Percocets, and that's a hell of a drug for people to take. You know what I'm saying? Kurt has done a
And
lot.
the fact that he had to live off of it just to do this for the fans. You know what I'm saying? He had to live off of it, and it did something, you know what I'm saying? That's not a pretty drug. It really isn't, you know. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, you have to respect people that, I mean, and first of all, a lot of people say it. And one of the best things I've always said, I've always loved in Dr. David Schultz. You see it all the time. I think wrestling's fake. You think that's fake? That's an open hand slap. So
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
I have to find it to you. He actually wrote a book, Dr. David Schultz, about that. It's called, You Know What, You Think This Is Fake or I'm Not Fake. And it was based off of his career. And of course, that infamous slap to John Stossel in 2020. It's
Yeah, dude, I know he had a lot of heat for it because I watched The Dark Side of the Ring. It was a big ass thing, but good. But honestly, back in those days, wrestling couldn't win. And you know what? Now it's not any different. Wrestling can't win now either, because now that we know or we see things, people still dismiss it. Like they can. There's this one boy. He says he hates wrestling. This is why we don't watch stuff in the same room. But he comes in lolly because I want to watch wrestling. You
Just
know what I mean?
talking trash on you. Just, I don't want to watch this wrestling crap. God, here she is watching wrestling again. Oh,
That's literally me, because that's all I watch, because that's all I care about. Like there's nothing else that's really appealing to me, but or worth my time. But like, so he comes in, walks through, he's walking back and forth. Look, I know he's watching it. Then he sits down, and he starts watching it, and I'm like, isn't that crazy? It was just moments. You know what I mean? It was like 1,000 crazy OMG moments of AEW or something. And it was like Sammy jumping off with Cody and
yeah.
then going through a table. He was like, oh, he's like, I don't know why they do that shit. I was like, isn't that crazy? I'm like, and he's like, well, I was like, I'm like, well, I was like, that shit kills me because I'm a big fan of Sammy and I hate seeing him get hurt. And he was like, oh, well, he already knows it's going to happen. So that's what he said to me.
First of
And I
all,
said, yeah, tell me. And I said to him, I said, yeah, he might know it's going to happen, but that doesn't mean it's not going to hurt him. Like, it's going to
go
hurt.
through a
Like,
table. You go
you go
through a
through.
table.
I told him, I said, if I go and I go to wrestling school, I'm like, I'm literally going to take you into a ring and I'm going to show you. Because he was a wrestler in high school. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like John Stossel, where he was on Dark Side of the Ring, talking about I used to wrestle in high school, and I thought it was so fake when all these wrestlers go out there and diminish the sport of professional wrestling. Like that's
yes,
exactly what that is.
yes, like literally, like pro wrestling is an extension, and it's, you know what I'm saying, because there's a lot of men that went from, college wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers to this. This is like the extension, but that stuff can't even get you ready for this.
No.
It can get you ready, but there's so much more to it than just skill. You know what I mean? We all know that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's crazy. He was like, "Oh, well, he already knew it was happening," and I was like, "Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It does hurt."
It's like Jim
Like the
Ross. Well, it's like Jim Ross when he used to talk about ladders. How do you learn how to fall off a 20-foot ladder? You don't.
you don't. Yes, you can't learn how to fall off that stuff. Literally, you can't. And the only reason why they don't break a bone every time they fall is because they're constantly taking bumps. They're getting their body ready for that impact. No matter, sometimes the impact does break shit, but because they're bumping, their bodies like can take it better than like someone like me or someone like you or something. You know what I mean? Because we're not used to getting fucked up off of things.
First off,
Yeah.
I will say this as someone who has been in a ring for ring announcing and not, I can tell you how the mat feels when they're in there, folks. When they're jumping up and down, it's not pretty. But I
It's
think for
not.
me, I like that extension too as well because I'll say it bluntly, and I've said this many times. I'm open with my audience. I'm an epileptic, and well, I like not landing on my head. That's all I'm gonna say about
Right?
me too. But that's the thing. I think people don't realize like there's other ways to get into wrestling besides actually being a wrestler. There's so many different layers of how you could be a part of the business. And I
Mm.
look at it from a stance too as well. Like you want to talk about like, how everybody goes into it. I remember when I was a kid as a youngin. So 2002, I was 10, right? And I'm actually going to send you this if I can find it on YouTube. It's really good. The WWE used to have a show called Confidential, right? It used to air at like 11 o'clock or 12 midnight on.
I actually do watch that. I've watched it.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, Mean Gene Oakland as the host. Okay. The archives. I like your style. Here we go.
Yeah, I watch all kinds of shit. Don't make me start.
Well, this is what. Well, this is why also why you and I get along here because professional wrestling is like the only thing that really appeals to me too. Number one and number two, when I used to work at my market research job on Long Island, so I live close to where my job vicinity was. Like during breaks, I would just take out the phone and watch YouTube and either go look up some wrestling matches or promos and just listen to whatever. So like, I'm right
Literally
there with
though.
you. I'm right
Yep.
there with you. So.
Yeah. That's funny. That's literally my life too. It's been my life. Like when I was in the oil field, all I watched for a while was like Chris Van Vliet interviews.
Van Vliet does a great job. Well, first off, have you
Yeah.
seen his latest interview with Dave Meltzer that he did not too long ago?
No, I didn't. I try to stay away from Dave. I'm weird.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're gonna mention this. First of all, not weird. And number two, thank you. Again, here's why I love it. Chris Van
People
Vliet.
love Dave. I don't even care about Dave. I'm sorry, Dave.
No, but Dave, like, he's so contradictory. Like, Van Vliet is like literally calling him out on this bullshit 5-star scale. Like, really? Like Kurt Angle didn't have a 5-star match. Really? Like so and so. Like everything is New Japan, but Kurt Angle, really, Kurt Angle never had a 5-star match. Or The Rock and Hogan, one of the biggest matches ever, and you only give it 3 stars. Like really, Dave? Like really? And he goes, well, 4 3/4 is the same as 5 stars. No, the fuck, it's not. If it was 5 stars, you would rate it 5 stars. And he's
And
trying to just give an example. And I'm like, no, Dave, you're fucking fickle. And number two, we get it. You love the Young Bucks. You love Kenny Omega. You love Japan. There's a bias there. And that's my issue because everything's subjective. But why are we really feeding ourselves into a guy who's never been in the ring? And mind you, maybe an historian, writes great articles. That's great. He's a fan, much like yourself, much like mine. But God damn it, Dave, you have no right to tell people to base shit on your 5-star ratings. And that's why people are getting hurt and wanting to kill themselves for your bullshit ratings. And I
for
don't mean
your ratings, yeah. Whenever honestly, I don't understand like I never understood the rating like things to be on like when it comes to that match stuff because when did he start that match rating stuff? Has it been a long time?
it's been like since like the 90s, possibly.
Oh,
Like a while. Like a while. But like he's done that dude lives and breathes wrestling. And he's like the best way I can describe it, and you guys have seen on Dark Side of the Ring, he is a 60-year-old man child with a dirty office. That's the best way I can describe Dave Meltzer. A 60-year-old man child with a dirty office.
which like don't get me wrong, I personally love Kenny Omega too. Like,
Too.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Love the Bucks too, but yeah, if they're making everything like I know the whole big thing about him being biased and stuff, that's not. Plus wrestling is so different. Like how can you really like the wonderful thing about pro wrestling, which makes it sad that people say it's not a sport, right? Because like sports, you can look at something and score, point for this, point for that, point for this, that type of thing. Pro wrestling, there's no such thing as that. There isn't. You know what I mean? Which people are like, oh, that's why it's not a sport. But that's why it's so great because you can sit there and have like have all amazing matches all night, but all of them be so different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, which, we always talk about variety in wrestling. And that's why I really don't believe in that star rating stuff because, like,
Everything's
some,
subjective.
yeah, like something that I think is amazing, people might not think is amazing at all. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like people that I can't get behind or I thought the match was shit or something. I can't even sit there and really say matches are shit. Like cuz like people talk about botches, right? I'm very against people talking about botches because pro wrestling isn't people want to talk about, "Oh, that looks like it's really rehearsed,"
or it's
or that looks.
wonky.
Yep. And then whenever something goes wrong, people are like, "Oh, that's a botch." Okay, do you want them to look like they rehearsed it a million times or do you want it to look like a fight?
Well,
What do
well,
you want?
I like your viewpoint here, and this is where again I'm gonna counter offer that. I'm not gonna piggyback, but I'm gonna counter offer it. I feel like Joe Pesci and my cousin Vinny, a counter offer, if you will. So what you're saying is actually very valid and it's very true because of the fact is, okay, like obviously you rehearse this stuff and you do what you need to do to make sure everything's safe. It's the two S's, safe and spectacular when it comes to wrestling. But people botch, people screw up. It's you be in that ring where you're sweating, the ropes get
Yep.
sweat, you're there for a period of time. Botches are meant to happen. You know what I'm saying? It happens. People F up. But that's the thing. You want to make sure that there's not a lot of botches. Is there a botch that's going to happen? Yes. Do people make mistakes? Sure. But it's accidental. We're not doing this, by on purpose. So people just need to realize like shit happens. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, unfortunately, look at back in '99, D'Lo Brown and Darren Drozdov, God rest his soul, like he accidentally D'Lo gave him a power bomb and that paralyzed Darren Drozdov for the rest of his life. And I mean, you see a lot of stuff like that happen. It's a freak accident.
Yeah, exactly. And then people want to sit there and be like, it's not real or it's not this. And I'm like, well, what do you like? What do you like? Because I tell people this. I said, because I have respect for all combat sports. Like I'll sit and I'll watch boxing and I'll watch UFC and you know what I mean? Like not a lot.
Not
But
religiously.
yeah, but I'll watch it. I respect it. Like I respect all of that. You know what I mean? I'll watch stuff. But like it's like what do you want to see? Do you want to see people get knocked out and you want to see blood or do you want to see someone every week get better? Like what you know what I'm saying? Like whenever you have the other combat sports, you're lucky to see someone run around for 10 years, maybe because of the concussions and all that bullshit.
And
In
CTE.
pro wrestling, it's not like that. I mean, it used to be way more rougher back in the day, but now these wrestlers, they know how to take care of themselves. They know not to drink and mix drugs.
And well,
Yeah.
the somas and the CTE, there's a lot of stuff we found out about.
Yes. We're
There's
safer.
right, there's no more chair shots to the head and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So that's a plus. And I mean to follow up with what you're saying again, I love the factual of just like explaining like you respect it. Like I respect MMA, I respect everything, but here's the thing: people always have that argument. Oh, MMA is better than WWE and wrestling because it's real. And okay, Ronda Rousey came from MMA. Ken Shamrock came from MMA. Shayna
Yes.
Baszler, all these people. You can't have this argument anymore. With also, especially with Endeavor taking over WWE, the parent company, like they all intertwine now. You can't
Yeah.
have this argument anymore. But also at the same time, too, if you want to say wrestling is fake, which it's predetermined, I never say the word fake, it's predetermined. But here's the thing:
Yes.
you love Friends, you love Star Wars, you love the Jersey Shore, you love The
Yep.
Bachelor. That is the biggest load of cocky, poo-cocky, if you will, bukkake, what have you. It sucks because at the same time, it's not real. Like The Bachelor is a bullshit show where you give out roses. Like when you had The Rock of Love, when you had The Flavor of Love, it's bullshit reality television that is a
Yes.
debauchery for you to consume. And I don't mean to be ranting and tanging on this, but it's the truth. People will put all this stuff in a vacuum and say, oh, but this is funny, this is entertainment. But what we're watching is entertainment.
It's entertainment.
You
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. It's exactly the same thing. That's why like I was talking to this one kid, I was like, that's why people can branch out from professional wrestling because you don't like there's you can list a whole list of men that are amazing in the ring, but they're not over or they're not like, you know what I mean, one of the best or you know what I'm saying, because they can't talk or they don't have the catchphrases or don't have the merch or they don't have all these other aspects and the charisma that is needed for being a professional wrestler. Like being like that's what I think that's the reason why I can't get into boxing is because or like any you know what I mean? Because there's not a good guy, there's not a bad guy. There's where I watched, like, I tried to get into it one time and I was watching it and they do promos too, you know what I mean?
Trash talk, yeah.
But there's not an angle to it. Like, you're both dickheads or you're both good guys. I don't care who the fuck wins.
First of all, can we put that on a t-shirt for boxing? You're both dickheads. You're both good guys. Why should I care? You just put up merch up in there right there. I like that depiction of boxing. Why do I care? You're both dickheads. See? That
Literally.
the most
That's what it is.
That's the most bluntest form of just an overall analysis of boxing. I can respect that. That was great. So I understand also that viewpoint because there's no storytelling to it. It's just, I'm going to hit you hard. I'm going to hit you hard. One of us has got to win. Or with MMA, I'm going to tap you out. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to strike you. And that's it. With wrestling, there's more variety and there's more layers to it. There's more subtleties, there's more intricacies, and there's more nuances that go into a person's character and their style of fighting, so to speak. So, I mean, you have more variety in wrestling, and people that crap on it, like El Rey Network, Lucha Underground. I used to watch that back in the day. Wrestling Society X when it was on MTV. Like, there was so many different promotions out there, man, and especially the healthy state of wrestling that we are in now. There's so much for everybody out there, and I think that's why we're in the state of professional wrestling that we are now.
Yeah, I agree too. Plus, it took a while to kind of get here, and I honestly think that AEW is the reason why like we're really having a great rich time in wrestling right now is because of AEW starting and coming in, because it was really like, if you think about it, like if you watch like WWE in like 2019, 2018, I can't even tell you what was going on hardly back then.
It was rough because Roman Reigns was getting the dog food on him with Baron Corbin, and this was before the Tribal Chief stuff. So yeah,
Yes,
it was
it
kind of
was rough.
it was rough.
I know I went to Extreme Rules in Pittsburgh and I was like extremely like unhappy with, I think it was Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy, and it was terrible what
Oh,
happened
when
that
he
match.
kicked him when he kicked him no speak English right in the dick, and then the Kinshasa 1 2 3. I
And
remember.
that's it. Yeah, I was like, we came here for this. I didn't like that at all. That's my first pay-per-view I ever went to too, so I wasn't
Really?
happy about that. Yeah.
Oh,
So I
okay.
wasn't happy about it.
Fair enough. All right. So, all right, this is how I'm going back here since we're talking about us being youngins, and this one over here talking about 2008 and 2018 Extreme Rules, watching Nakamura kick poor Jeff Hardy in the penis. No
Yes.
speak English. So, my first ever event was SummerSlam 02, which was Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Brock and Rock. And then the second one I went to was Survivor Series 02 with Shawn Michaels in the first Elimination Chamber. So you have to understand, folks, and this is why I bring it back to this point. Like, we talk about how we got into wrestling. Like, I didn't start watching wrestling until that time period because I love my dad, and my dad is a saint for this because I used to bug my dad because he never wanted me to watch it with him, but after a while he just gave it. I was like, all right, well, he's gonna want to watch it anyway, and which I got hooked onto it. So yeah,
How old were you?
10.
10. See, that's I've been watching since I can remember. Like, I think we might have said that. Like, cuz I used to watch with my grandma.
Yeah.
So I was watching when I was a little girl. So this is 2005. I remember I used to go to Bible release and I was doing Bible release homework and Eddie Guerrero passed away.
Oh,
And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember like whenever they announced that. And then I was like probably in second or third grade because we'd be in gym class. Me and this boy used to do this and like jump off the little thingy because we were both wrestling fans. I was like probably in third grade or something. So yeah, like I've been in wrestling deep. Like, I used to bring action figures to recess in the second grade. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like,
all right.
I used to sneak wrestlers in my book bag.
I never did the action figures, and that makes me smile. I used to have a Hardy Boys and Lita folders, and like Hulk Hogan, WCW Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I used to have the folders when I was in elementary school in like the late '90s, early 2000s when I was in elementary school. But
That's right.
yes, but that's the thing too, is just because like I remember when Eddie Guerrero passed in 2005, I was, geez, I think I was about to start either seventh or eighth grade, and then we're watching, and then all of a sudden Eddie Guerrero dies, and I'm like, what? Like
What?
what? And
Yeah.
it was, and I think at the time, like he was about to like go for the world title, like the whole thing with Batista and Randy Orton at the time. It was nuts. And I remember, here's what's crazy about this, because I mean, you find out later, like these crazy stories of what would have happened, like we talked about earlier, or what the plans were. And I think one of the podcasts, I think it might have been Bruce Pritchard's, he was talking about, I think they were originally going to do Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania 22 and 06, which was the one that had Shawn and Vince on it. Like, can you imagine if we had gotten Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero?
Right. Literally though. Like it's something that we, I mean, it's always like that. What if, I mean, like just trying to, I mean, it's sad,
It
that
is.
stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, that's my thing too. And I mean, we talk about it, but I'm also kind of on the same thing with you. I'm like, a man just died. Like, I mean, we can have these possibilities, but also a man just died, and it's an unfortunate passing. Like, I understand around that time period too as well. They incorporated that with Rey Mysterio winning the world title in '06 and Randy Orton with that infamous line of "He's not up here, he's down there in hell." And I remember as like a 13-year-old at the time, going on 14, I'm like, yeah, I don't like this. Like, I understand like they were okay with it and they okayed it into the storytelling, but I'm like, yeah, I don't like
Yeah,
this. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable to me. Like when they did Shawn Michaels and God's getting jiggy with it, everybody and McMahonism with Vince.
dude. When McMahon was like, oh my, there was that segment where McMahon went to a church with Shane and he's like talking to God.
Blessed be the name of Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Dude,
Yes,
it makes me ever think it's like, did Vince feel, I don't know what his
religious belief.
religion views are, but I wonder if it bothered him. I don't know, but some people don't think about it. Like Shawn Michaels talked about it in something like where, about him going to church and people seeing him do DX stuff on TV, and then he goes to church and they're like acting like
Oh
he's a
yeah,
bad
you just talked about that
whatever.
on a
He's
poll.
like, I'm doing a character. I'm not this, you know what I mean? But it makes you think like what makes you then feel uncomfortable, you know what I mean?
So what Roxy Main over here is talking about over here, where she's getting her Shawn Michaels on over here, folks. She's talking about Shawn Michaels on Impulsive with Logan Paul, is where he mentioned that. Yes.
That's what okay, is that where I listen to Impulsive. I like his stuff. Well, he lost George, but yeah.
I know. We won't get into that, but yeah, that was the thing that happened. Where, well,
That's the
first
thing
of
that
all,
happened.
no, it started, I think, for me, where he made fun of his for his religious beliefs, which I'm like, dude, you're coming off like a big dickhead right now with what you're.
Well, religion always is a
It's
hard
a touchy subject for everybody.
yes. But I like George because I personally I'm a believer myself, so I liked his thing, you know what I'm saying? I liked his like view and I feel like there was a good balance, you know what I mean? But obviously something happened with them, and also everyone's like, you know, they're all young too. Like you got to think about how old Logan Paul is and how immature he was back in the day even, and how he's grown as a person.
That's true.
He's still growing. He's still growing.
No,
You know what I mean?
I agree with you because I'm a very spiritual person myself. I believe everything happens for a reason, and I believe that God has a plan for all of us. And I think for
Yeah.
me, like it's the little things. Like I'm just happy that I wake up in the morning and I get to do what I do, and just I'm blessed with the family and stuff. And I talk
Mhm.
about that because I mean it might be a touchy subject for people, but if you give some people to believe in and having faith, I mean you never know what you could say, inspiring through your words and actions, how that can affect people.
Yeah. I'm a believer in that too. I think there should be a way to like coexist too, you know. And it sucks too, that whole thing, because Logan Paul was actually getting like nice, like, I don't know, qualities from George and from his like perspectives and stuff, and it was cool to see that, and then boom, something else happened between
Oh,
literally.
it's an influence thing, and I think if you surround yourself with good energy and good vibes, that's going to eventually rub off on you. And I think that's a wonderful thing that's put into the universe, so to speak. And I mean, what Vince McMahon was put into the universe around that time in '06, my God. And I mean, as a Catholic watching that, I was like, this is so messed up on so many levels. But I'm just like, oh God, what they will do. And I mean, a year later it didn't help because if you remember Durag Vince with the whole, excuse me while I whip this out, and just the whole nine that he did there. What up, G?
Mm-hmm.
Like who? It's like Vince McMahon all of a sudden just found out about gangster rap and he just wanted to include that into his character with the bandana and everything. And I'm like, you crazy, crazy old man. And he's like, don't be talking
He
about
is
my brother's crime time. And I'm like, oh my God.
he is a
He
he
is a crazy old man. He is.
he is.
Oh,
That's He is crazy old, man. He has to be though to be able to do what he has been doing, but well, now he doesn't, but he did it for a long time, so you got to
And
be crazy somewhere, I guess.
it's so funny. Like you were talking about GIFs earlier about Chris Jericho and Mickey Rourke. Like for real, like there was GIFs back in the day, and people were talking about it on like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's like what John Cena did as the basic Thugonomics character in 2003. What he said back then, you can't get away with that in 2023. Oh my god!
No, I mean, no offense, but look what Max Caster goes through.
Right? Yes, especially
And
with
his shit, some of his shit, I don't even understand some of his, like, the way he puts things together. I don't even know that he offended people. I have to go and look up what people are, like, bitching about. I gotta look it up myself. I don't know what they're talking about. But because I think it's because he's trying to say something but kind of get underneath the radar, but it doesn't happen. But look at what he goes through. And his is not even that bad. Like John's was like very like sexual and provocative, and Max is not even that sexual. It's just a diss. You know what I mean?
well, for me, he takes, and Anthony Bowen said this on Chris Van Vliet's show. He like takes whatever he sees on Twitter and just incorporates into his raps. Like he just did one at the pay-per-view about Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump on trial, which was hilarious. But that's the stuff. Like you take what's in the influx of pop culture, incorporate it into professional wrestling. And with John Cena, it was like Eminem, 8 Mile was very popular at the time, but he did more of like you mentioned, sexualize the sexual version of it. But he also could get away with quips. I mean, for God's sake, the man has a rap album that he had back in the day, which I'm going to say right now, for those who didn't have it, John Cena and the trademark "You Can't See Me" is actually a very underrated CD. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah, it actually was a good CD. You know what also was a really good CD was the originals.
with you and your Rikishi talk about "Put a Little Ass on It" and everything that was on that CD, and just the Dudley Boys, we had enough of what you could have. Kurt Angle, I don't suck. I don't suck. Oh,
Yes,
I still have.
yes.
I still have
I
that.
I have it on my phone. I love We Lie, We Cheat, We Steal.
Yes. All
Yep.
right, Guerreros. All right.
Yes. Yes, that one's great. That one's great. And then the whole album's great, like I think personally. You know what I mean? But I I wonder if they could do it again. I don't know who they'd get on there, but
I can't remember the last time they did one. I think it might have been, I think I may have the last one that they did. It was just like mostly like around the legacy time period, like maybe like '09. Like I remember I was excited because I have Reckless Intent. That was the one that had Randy Orton's theme Burning My Light on it.
oh, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, you had a lot of good stuff. The anthology album, which is the 3 disc set, which is really good too.
That is really good. We have all of those things. We even had I have the album that has Run DMC doing oh my
Oh,
goodness,
yes,
doing one of
Degeneration
DX's.
X. They're going to kick your ass. Degeneration.
Yes, yes, which is great. That's fire. You can't find that on Apple Music though to save your life. I don't know why, but it's not on there, but it's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of great wrestling CDs out there, folks, if you haven't checked it out. I mean, for me, like I remember as a kid, like I'm a big pop culture guy too. It's what I love. There's a thing here, folks. Pop culture, as you can see with this channel, pop culture, wrestling, and maybe some adult entertainment. And I mix it all into a bag, and then we get shows like this with the lovely Miss Roxxie Main. So what we get to see here, folks, is the influx of pop culture into professional wrestling. Like I remember when The Rock hosted TRL and he was on Wyclef Jean's song "It Doesn't Matter," doing the "It Doesn't Matter" catchphrase. Like that's the early stuff that really takes into it. And I mean, it's fun. Like you just have The Rock going on a Wyclef Jean doing the "It Doesn't Matter," the catchphrase. So I mean, that's what we got back in the day.
Exactly. Well, that's why I'm really big on give me a second. I'm
Right.
getting my life together real quick cuz my thingy is dying. But like that's why I'm really big on music, and it seems like they have definitely decreased their music quality. If you heard me at all, like their production of music, like their music sucks, period. Like there's only like a handful of good theme songs that are out there right now. You probably count them on your hand, to be honest with you.
For real. And I mean, for me, I also equated to like the pay-per-view themes. Like I loved, I'm gonna put it like this. Like when WWE had like Godsmack and Drowning Pool and Saliva and all these bands doing themes, great, because it made you want to fight and got you excited. But
Yes.
I was there for SummerSlam 2007, right? So the main event of that show was the first ever match with John Cena and Randy Orton for the title. That was in New Jersey. And the theme song was Cat DeLuna's Wind Up. Now, I like Cat the Luna. No issue with Cat the Luna. But
Yeah.
got me had to go ahead to wind up as the theme song for SummerSlam, or like when Demi Lovato
Yes.
did "Cruel for the Summer" and it was Seth and John Cena in that match with John Stewart.
It just doesn't make sense. It does not belong in wrestling. I'm
Well, it's like
sorry.
you just have Flo Rida, and we have all these songs by The Weeknd doing WrestleMania now. Because if you look at WrestleMania, all the freaking theme songs are pretty much The Weeknd now, and
The
they're good
only thing,
songs. But yeah, don't
yeah, they don't belong in wrestling. Like I think that's I realized like that like I was like what, why doesn't it hit? And it's the music. Not even messing. It's the music. Like this sounds bad, but if it's like not rock or some type of like good ass rap, then it should not be there. Something. You know what I mean? It has to go with what's going on. Some like poppy song does not go in with pro wrestling. It just doesn't.
I see how it is. So pretty much you're saying if you like pop music, go fuck yourself and fuck everything you stand for. If it's not rock and it's not rap, you're cutting a promo on the people right now is what you're doing. Fuck
Literally.
pop.
Well, you know what I liked? NXT had Poppy on
Yes,
once.
Poppy, yes.
That was great. Whenever I didn't even know who she was, but that album, like the songs that she did or whatever, like for NXT, fit NXT so well. Like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
when they had Baby Metal as like one of the themes for Takeover, like it worked.
yeah, it worked. Like, it's just like it's like who makes the decisions on the music? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it is more towards like and geared towards like everybody, not like the hardcore wrestling fans that really want like that likes a certain vibe. Like maybe the new wrestling fans like hearing.
Girl for the summer.
But they're missing out though. They're missing out on the intensity. That's why we love wrestling still, because we remember how intense things were. Like for example, that's probably because I was so young and I was so impressionable, but the John Cena versus Edge, them two like facing each other, they were like it was crazy. It felt like forever their feud. I think it was forever, but it was good and it was like it was very intense. You know, what I mean, same thing with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. It was intense, but I think what brought the intensity is like the video packages and the music. That's what brought the feelings.
Agreed. And first of all, you're making me do the math here now because I think you actually have a great point about this. So John Cena and Edge pretty much fought like all of 2006. Like their final match was Unforgiven in the TLC match. Where
I believe it. Okay.
and then
Yeah.
they fought again in 09, but like all of 06 was practically dominated by John Cena and Edge.
An Edge. It was. It was. Yeah. Okay. I was young, but I'm like, I don't know how long it was, but I remember all I saw was John Cena and Edge.
Well, you also have to take into account like Shawn Michaels and Triple H like was a good part of like 02 and a little bit of 03, but their final match was the Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood 04. And then DX about a year and a half later would come back into fruition. So
Come back in. I didn't even realize that it was that extensive.
well, that's the beauty of it. And here's what people can't
Yeah.
get into now is long-term storytelling because our attention spans don't go that long. Like people are like, oh, Roman Reigns and like, 3 years with the title now. But I'm like, Bruno Sammartino was like the champion for 8 years in like the 80s, like the golden age. Like you tell long drawn out stories until that person, like when Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair fought, like Cody has talked about this too. Like they fought for like 3 years. Like it took Dusty Rhodes like 2 or 3 years to win the world title from Ric Flair. And when he won,
Yeah.
it was like, oh my God. And I think that's what a lot of people can't really get into now is the long-term storytelling because we have to have like, and I don't mean to put it as blunt, but hey, we're going to go here because I mean, if you've been blunt, I'll be blunt throughout this doggone show, my friend. You people blow their loads too early, and I'm going to put it like that. So put that into your heads and put your pipe and smoke it.
Well,
People,
another thing too is that people don't want to sit around and wait either and see what's going to happen, or
right?
people like, you know what I mean, they want to see certain stuff and they just like kind of they you know what I mean, they don't care about storytelling at all, or like they just well like, yeah, I don't know why but they don't. And I don't know if why it changed, because someone like me, like I that's why I like promos so much, because like I like the like knowing what they feel, you know what I'm saying, and like and it increases the interest, you know what I mean? And stuff like that, like video packages and doing things like every week, like one like something against each other, not a match, like something to interrogate each other. We need that stuff, but you don't really see it anymore. That little AEW does a good job at it, I think, where they have like they do like a good like theme, like I don't know how to explain it, but like you'll see like on it used to be way better when it was just Dynamite, but every other week it'd be like it picked back up. It'd be like a few storylines. You see two this week, and then you see the other two the next week. Then you see the other two the next week, and it kept you like caring about everything that was going on, but you weren't seeing them like every single week. You're seeing like every other week or something. And I thought that was a good, you know what I mean, to keep you caring about every match on the card. You know what I mean, when the pay-per-view comes around.
It's evoking emotions and eliciting a reaction, which is very important in professional wrestling or whatever craft that you do in art form. I think that's a very imperative. And I mean, I think what kind of changed about people not liking long-term storyline, and it goes back to that goddamn Dave Meltzer, because what Dave Meltzer looks like is just, I want to see a banger match. Okay, fuck the story, fuck the promos, fuck everything that goes into it. Let's just have a banger match. I think that's where kind of like the
no offense, but you can go to an indie show and watch
right.
better matches than
TV. Exactly.
Seriously. You can go to an indie show and watch better matches. You go to Chicago, go to Warrior. That's where I saw Amazing Red. They were tag team. It was like Amazing Red, Osprey, and I want to say Rocky something. He has an eye patch on.
Rocky Romero.
Okay, them three versus the Rascals, which was Dez, and then you got Miguel.
Miguel, yep.
Yeah. Crazy match. Like amazing. I didn't even know who Will Ospreay was till that day, but ever since I've been obsessed with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's an indie show. That match, like that three-way match is probably better than and kept me interested than most three-way matches I see on TV. You know what I mean? So like if you want to be like, oh, banger match, well, anyone can put on a banger match. That's just, and then now in these days, it's hard to not see one that's good, because the talent that comes in now, they are athletic, like more athletic than anyone has been in the past. You know what I'm saying? If you really think about it and look at it, you know what I mean?
Oh, agreed. And I think for me, like I remember watching Samoa Joe and AJ Styles on the indies. That was what you had right there. And I mean, I've seen Amazing Red too. I've seen a lot of these talents. You have so many great indies out there. I mean, I've seen the Hardys and the Young Bucks do their thing for Northeast Wrestling. So you have all these wrestling matches that are bangers, and you can see some stuff on TV and stuff on the indies. There's a different influx of style there, but you're also supporting indie wrestling. This is where they got their start. So, I mean, it goes hand in hand with everything.
Well, plus when it comes to indies, like they aren't like these little promotions. They like try to make storylines, and they try, but how can you make a storyline with boys that you don't even know if you can book them next month? You don't know what they got planned. You can't book, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't have storylines because you got one show a freaking month. You know what I'm saying? So like if you just want banger matches, indies, perfect for you. If you want to watch storytelling, TV show, because you're there every week. You know,
there's like a balance. Like it's all about, you set up a match, and if something goes this way, okay, we'll bring him back out to the next month or the next show. There's ways to do it for the indies, but when you think of independent wrestling, that's what it is. It's banger matches. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of the influx is. And I respect it and I love it. And I think that is what makes professional wrestling the craft and the amazing art form that it is. And I will say this, the great art form that it is, folks, also comes in podcasting, where you can see a lot of these great shows. So before we put a bow on this, man, we put a nice little bow. Hell, we might put on a cheerleading outfit like this one over here, give some spirit and do our cheers. Yes. Hello.
Yes.
I'm Roxxie, man. So the best thing about this is, first and foremost, Roxxie, before we do give our final thoughts here, we definitely got to do another one of these in the future. I love including you, and it's going to be fun to do more of these with you.
Thank you. I'm glad. I hope so, because I'm like, we were all over the place, but we were shooting the breeze. So
breeze, baby. So the final thought I will give on this, folks, if you've taken anything from this besides the fact that Ed Nordholm, Scott D'Amore, what the fuck channel are you on? God damn it, that's the problem.
What channel are you on?
What channel are you on? Like, honestly, give me a channel that I can watch on TV. What is this?
They're both dick bags. They're both good guys. Why do I care?
Yeah, or that too, friggin' boxing. They're both dickheads. Why do I care? Okay,
why do I care?
Why do I care? I see how it is. So So what you got out of today's things is two people who are passionate, who love professional wrestling and love the craft and everything that goes into it. But I will say this, folks, how you should view professional wrestling, much like anything, life is an art form. We're all applying our crafts, continue to apply in an amazing fashion. Would you like to add one other thing there to Roxy?
No, I think you hit everything on the nail. I mean, on the head. Yeah.
Head, nail. Hit it on
Head, nail. You know what I'm talking about. Hammer, you hit it. That's it.
All we need now is to get the moles going and the little mallet, and we were playing whack-a-mole. That's what it is.
Yeah, you hit them all. That's you did it.
What is this, Dora the Explorer? We did it. We did
And
it.
then,
So,
yeah.
well, we did doggone do it with this show on Shooting the Breeze. And
Yes.
before we close this out, Roxy, man, you were an amazing human being. Such a fun, vibrancy, exuberance, dare I say, entertainment. Where can we follow you on the Twitter machine? Give us the handle, and we'll plug it at the end of the show here.
Just at Roxxie Main. Everything is just on Twitter, and then that's basically it, at Roxxie Main. As you can see my name on there, just put it all together, and that's it. Then you can find me. Yeah, I'll be there.
When did you turn into Hannah Montana? Mix it all together, and what are you going to give us the best of both worlds next?
I am the best of both worlds. As you can see Roxy here, and then if you find me on Twitter, you can't believe I'm the same person. So it is the best of both worlds.
Well, it is. And I mean, we talk about well, first of all, we've talked about the spicy content is the rage, whether it be OnlyFans or the imagery you put out on social media. And I mean, I look forward to seeing what you do next. I mean, doggone it, man. You're putting on lingerie, you're putting on cheerleading stuff. I can't wait to see what we get next, right?
Right. I never know either. So that was the spare of the moment. It was a school thing. I was like, I don't want to do a schoolgirl thing. Everyone does that bullshit. So here I am, cheerleader.
She just said, fuck your schoolgirls. I'm a cheerleader. I'm gonna sis boom ba and rah rah all on your ass. Yeah, that's what you just said right there.
Yeah. Well, I love cheerleading. My other passion, because I was cheerleading for like 10 years.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I literally, I was a cheerleader for a lot of years. You know what I mean? Like literally I was 3rd grade, and then to 9th, I got cut my 9th and 10th grade year, and then I cheered 11th and 12th, and then I wanted to do it in college, but so I love it. So, and I bought it for actually a wrestling show, that skirt, but then I didn't go. So I was like, what am I gonna do with this cheer skirt? This random cheer skirt that's green, doesn't even match my school color. It doesn't match anything, but it worked for that. So.
But I'm serious. You guys definitely should check out the photos. It did come out great. You had a nice little pose and stuff. Yeah, there you go. But yeah.
Yes, some poses for you guys. They look a little better on there, but this is a.
No, but I like your style. It came out very nice. It did come out very nice. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
So, folks, follow Roxy Main on the Twitter machine, which you should. If you haven't, there's a lot of great stuff, whether it be wrestling reposts and spicy content. That's what you love. A nice little wrestling.
That's all you see. Mostly wrestling reposts. Sometimes I gotta hurry up and do something spicy before people start unfollowing me.
Nah, that is not going to happen. Follow Roxy, because you will. And I think and people will follow you after this, because there's a lot of passionate wrestling fans out there that have the same viewpoints that we have today. So I think
that's good, though.
That's good.
We're right.
We are right. So what's right is, if you listen to this show and you hit the subscribe button, folks, we're up to 584 subscribers since starting this channel back up. Let's keep it going and keep on checking out this content that we got for you. Check out Roxy Main's content. Check out all the wrestling out there. Support indie wrestling. Support professional wrestling. And if you want to follow yours truly, follow me on Twitter at SMShow1 or MCL92. Follow me on Instagram, Larkin_92 and MLarkinMB. That's StephenMikeShow.com, SoundCloud, MC Larkin92, Mike Larkin92 on the YouTube. I am chock full of places for you to follow me, and they'll be in the description below, as well as Roxy Main's main Twitter account. See what I did there? Put it together. So, for Roxy Main, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you for listening to this edition of Shooting the Breeze. And as I always say with each and every show, it's not just the name of the podcast I do for Lingerie Fighting Championships, but it is my mindset, and a great mindset at that. Beauty, strength, and dominance, the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Roxy Main, you my main one, like Mario. I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for yours. It was fun.
Come talk to me. I love the way you're on to me. Looking at you, looking like you're wondering love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, I bet you're here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here. If you're looking for the good life, good vibes, honey, I'm right here. And I'm waiting for you. And I love you in your summer skin. Looking at you, looking like you're into it. 'Cause we're here for the same reason. Yeah, I just wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey, like honey. Yeah, 'cause I'm just here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something, that something. If you're looking for a good time,